Hello.
All right, I've run out of patience. On to ruse! Nice job, kid.
Hello and welcome to the TFM podcast, the Film Mobcast. I'm Joe, your normal host, but today I've got a special guest. She is a co-founder of the filmmagazine.com. She runs our 30-day countdown. She designs most of our t-shirts that can be found on redbubble.com/users or people /
I don't know.
the film magazine. She is Becca Sagini.
Hello. So this month we are counting down the 30 greatest comic book movies and that can be found at Tumblr and YouTube and thefilmmagazine.com. So we thought today we'd talk specifically about comic book movies.
Yeah, so we've got an awesome comic book movie themed show lined up for you. We're going to discuss, hopefully, in kind of great detail, who we'd cast as the Avengers if we were ordered to recast them, and who the villain in such a movie would be, and who we'd have direct it. We're also going to talk about the best comic book movies of all time, the best comic book movie of the year, the upcoming comic book movies, specifically Suicide Squad, and we're going to have a quick fire questions round as well, which will just be about anything from DC to Marvel, everything in between. And that should take us to the very end of the show, so we might as well just get started with the very first question that we have lined up, which is, what is the best comic book movie of 2016?
In my opinion, Civil War.
Good choice.
Nothing even compared to it this year. Like, it just blew everything else out of the water.
I do agree with you. I think it was the best film, so we're unanimous on that one, but I feel like an honorary mention has to be given to Deadpool for the way it at least attempted to change the genre.
Yeah.
I feel like Deadpool will, in the long run, provide more to the genre than Civil War did. I think Civil War was a culmination of all the great things that have happened in comic book movies for the years previous to now.
Yeah. I just think with Civil War, it brought something new to the Avengers franchise. It was a lot darker than anything else we've seen so far.
Yeah.
I think it just developed the characters in such a way that I'm excited to see what comes next.
Yeah.
More than anything.
Excited to see what comes next, but at the same time, it felt like it had finality. It wasn't like every Avengers movie where you'd watch it and think, oh no, I have to watch the next one.
Yeah.
It was more, you watched it and it was a good standalone, and now you're interested to see what's going on beyond now because you want to know what's happening with regards to their relationships to each other.
Yes.
Not necessarily because they've created some hype at the end of the movie that makes you think, oh, I have to go back and watch the next one now.
Yeah,
you know?
it's not like it wasn't a lead-in film like what Iron Man or Winter Soldier or anything was.
Yeah, it wasn't even like a lead-in film in the same way that Avengers Age of Ultron was. It's like, there's not at the end of Age of Ultron they divided and had teams, right? So you know that there's more coming.
Yes.
There wasn't some sort of convoluted way of explaining things away at the end of the film that made you think, oh, I now have to see the next one.
Yeah. I just think as well, like, storyline wise, it was incredible. The relationship not only between Captain America and Tony, Iron Man, and Captain America and Bucky, and then you had this like villain who was able to take them down completely and he didn't have any superpowers.
Yeah, I think that one of the things the film benefited from is that it obviously, given that it was based on the comic book called Civil War, it had the villain cast the two sides of the Avengers against each other. So logically, as an audience member, I was thinking, oh, this is actually the best way to take down the Avengers. It's not some like magic stick or gem. It's to have them fight each other. And for it to be done by a guy who didn't have a superpower, or if he did, it wasn't displayed in the movie itself.
Yeah.
For him to just be in charge of that and the manipulation that he caused was something that I felt gifted the film like grounded it in reality.
Yeah.
Which is what made it more relatable when they were fighting each other.
I think it gave the characters a more human level. Like, you find out a lot about their backstory even when you find out that like Agent Carter dies and like Steve has to go to a funeral and you see he has lost everyone that he's known in his life, apart from Bucky, and that's what makes their relationship so strong.
Yeah, which of course like comes to the fore at the end of the film, where everything unfolds. I'm assuming most people have seen it. Like, we can
I
talk
hope so.
spoilers. if you don't want Captain America: Civil War spoiled for you, please fast forward about 10 minutes in this podcast.
Yeah, we're just
I'm
assuming
about
everyone's
to, I'm
seen
about,
it.
yeah, I'm about to spoil something major. Basically, the moment that I was going to refer to just a second ago was when Captain America chooses to side with Bucky because of Bucky's past, when he was clearly like under some sort of control by some sort of bad person and killed Tony Stark's mother and father. It's like, okay.
Yeah.
And you understand that, but like, I've said a lot with regard to Civil War that it succeeded, in my opinion, for 3 reasons. One, the directors really know what they're doing.
Yeah.
In every sense of the word, they know what they're doing. 2, the fight scenes were realistic looking. They were good fight scenes. For the first time in the whole of the franchise's history, I felt like Black Widow really, really, truly could beat someone up.
Yeah.
She's looked dangerous in other movies, but she's looked dangerous in that kind of like Catwoman way, where she's like almost like just flipping around people to take them out.
Yeah.
And in this one, it was more like brutal, physical fist to faces. There was no special jumpy shit, basically. And then the third reason is Robert Downey Jr., who I feel in the movie's most emotional moments, he carried it.
Yeah.
Like, especially at the end, when he finds out it was Bucky, the camera just stuck on him while he reacted, and you could see this rage like boil up from inside him and overtake the fear and emotion of what he's seen.
Yeah.
And that to me made the movie.
I also felt that it gave the sort of, not the lesser characters because they're all important, but like the minor characters more of a chance to shine. Like, I thought Anthony Mackie's character in that film was incredible.
He was great.
And like even just the smaller parts from like Paul Rudd as Ant-Man, and you got to see the first sort of look of Spider-Man, who was incredible as well.
Yeah, I think an often overlooked part of the film as well was the way they introduced Black Panther.
Oh, definitely.
I feel like I wrote in my review that the movie kind of made the assumption that you already knew who Black Panther was.
Yes.
Which was wrong, because Black Panther isn't a character that's as famous as the rest, and audiences might have been sat there for a good portion of the film thinking, who is this guy?
Yeah,
but
true.
It was good in terms of how his character was built to the point where when he did announce his name, you assumed it was big. You assumed like that was important because of how all that he'd done before that.
Yeah.
The tunnel scene that he's introduced in, like this is what I mean about the Russo brothers knowing what they're doing. They tell stories in fight scenes, in chase scenes. They don't just put chase scenes and fight scenes in for the sake of it. They're there to assist in either character development or in story development.
Yeah.
And in that case, it was both, because it built Black Panther as an incredibly threatening force within their universe, but it also built the chase scene itself to have so many different elements other than just the simple chase.
Yeah. Which
has made it infinitely more interesting.
Yeah.
And it's definitely one of the more memorable scenes.
I also think, like, what happened to, I forget his name, I know the actor's name, Don Cheadle's character.
Yeah,
he, obviously, something major happens to him as well, like losing the use of his legs.
Yeah.
Only fueling sort of Iron Man's rage against Captain America, Bucky, or...
It's like, that was kind of given away in the trailer.
I thought he died in the trailer, to be honest.
Yes, so did I, and I feel like they kind of backed out on that one. I think in the comic books, Iron Man actually loses the power of his legs at some point, and they actually replaced him with the second guy, because obviously it's easier. But like, it's cool because in another aspect, it's all about the Avengers, Marvel, Disney bringing in so-called minorities into big comic book films. Like they're introducing female superhero movie, Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
They have increased consciously the number of women and ethnic minorities in films, and now they're going to have someone who represents disabled people, which I think is cool.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go against that in any way. I also thought it helped the story a lot, and I'm not saying that they used it as a plot device, but I do feel like it was used well.
I think it was maybe used more as a like an emotional device more than a plot device.
Yeah.
Like there needed to be something happened to sort of fuel the
initial rage of Robert Downey Jr.'s Tony Stark.
Because this happened before he found out anything about Bucky's past. And I know he felt strongly about not wanting the Avengers to be reckless, but that wasn't quite enough to fuel this sort of feud with Captain America, I don't think.
Yeah. Just to go with other movies though, like Civil War was great in every way because it was better than every other movie at most things. I feel like if the other movies did anything better, I felt like Deadpool did the whole adult thing better. I think Deadpool did the whole adult thing better than any comic book movie ever. And I really enjoy Watchmen, which was an adult 18 movie.
Not in the same way though.
And it wasn't in the same way, no. I feel like the only reason that I didn't choose Deadpool, and I know a lot of people would, is because it was very cleverly written. The dialogue was really well thought out. They had some very good puns. It was interesting in terms of its presentation and how thought out the battle scenes were. But underneath it all, it was still the very typical 3-act structure that every comic book movie is, which is like something happens to a guy which makes him a superhero, and then he goes and kills the bad guy. And like I felt like that was too ordinary for such an extraordinarily good plot.
The thing that sort of set Deadpool apart, I think, was its like tongue-in-cheek nature. It was more it poked fun in itself more than anything, and I think that's what made it work. But unpopular opinion, but I really liked X-Men. I really enjoyed it this year.
X-Men for me holds the scene of any comic book movie this year, but also the scene of any movie this year for me, which is the scene in which Quicksilver saves everyone from Xavier's school.
Yeah.
I thought that was really good, and therefore deserves a mention. But as I've said countless times about Bryan Singer's representation of the new Michael Fassbender Magneto, I don't feel like he got him right.
No, I agree on that. And I think there was a lot of things that they didn't get right in that movie. I think I've never been so disappointed to see an Oscar Isaac performance as that.
For me, it's the first performance of his career, especially of his the last few years, that I've watched and thought he wasn't that good.
Yes.
And that's disappointing given how good he has been, even in smaller roles in Star Wars.
Yes.
Star Wars is a perfect example because it's a huge franchise, probably a bigger franchise than X-Men.
Definitely.
He's got a smaller role, but he managed to portray more in that smaller role than he did the entirety of a huge role as Apocalypse in X-Men.
I don't think the character was very well thought out, to be honest. And I don't think his portrayal of it helped, and I don't think that's necessarily his fault completely. But the thing that... This is going to be another spoiler, so if anyone hasn't seen the new X-Men movie, the thing that made that movie for me is the scene where we see Wolverine. There was no way that I couldn't get excited about that scene.
I think Wolverine's one of those characters where you know that he's put in as a gratuitous nod to the fans.
Yes.
As a way of dragging people to the cinema after people are like, did you know Wolverine's in it though for a scene? You know, it's definitely put in as that, but it's the only version of that where fans will embrace it.
Yeah.
Fans would not embrace the same thing of a cameo from a character that wasn't as interesting as him.
Yeah.
Not when it's as gratuitous as it was.
I just think that the way they did it as well, the way they introduced that scene was incredibly clever.
There was a lot of build up for it.
Soon as you see the dam, that you know that's Stryker's lair, and like you go, oh my god, this is so cool. This is like where it all began. They're gonna see Wolverine at his origin.
Yeah.
In sort of context with the sort of coming of Jean Grey and Cyclops.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
For me, it was those parts of the movie that made the movie watchable. The parts that kept it from being enjoyable were the ways in which they handled Magneto, who had a lot of good stuff towards the beginning, but again, as he did in Days of Future Past, went so over the top, it was no longer believable as Magneto as a character.
Yeah.
It was too over the top, and that's what I struggle with. I think with regard to everyone else, they can kind of go on certain levels. With Magneto, he's capable of something massive and extraordinary, like moving the entire Golden Gate Bridge in X-Men 3.
Yeah.
But he doesn't do it just willy-nilly like he was doing almost constantly. And the fact that him, one of the biggest manipulators in the whole X-Men franchise,
was manipulated
by Apocalypse without really much of a reason seemed, to me, cheap and lousy writing. It was too easy and too convenient, and the fact that Apocalypse needed Magneto in the first place was again too easy and too convenient to put people on different sides of the coin.
I also feel that on the villain side of that movie, it was too... I know this is going to sound weird for an X-Men movie. It was too supernatural based. It was too too far-fetched. Yeah. Even though you have a film that is completely far-fetched with mutants and things, but that just seemed completely out of place when most of the other X-Men movies are quite sort of humanized. These are humans.
They make very strong conscious efforts throughout the script of, especially the original trilogy.
Yes.
Of making sure you know that this is an evolution in DNA, so the characters that are introduced have one very specific power.
So why is this guy so different?
Yeah, like Apocalypse was done okay. I thought the character I had a bit of an issue with some of the other characters. I feel like the limits of the characters obviously expand as the universe expands, as the comic books expanded.
Yeah.
But if you have original characters who have one very simple power each,
yes,
it's much easier to keep in tune as an audience member with what they're capable of and what they're not. And when you introduce characters that are suddenly more capable than them, you're like, well, why are we following these characters when these characters are so much more extraordinary?
Yes.
Like, why do we need to be in touch with Wolverine, who's got regenerative powers and a metal skeleton, when we could just be in touch with Apocalypse, who can regenerate to anything?
Yeah.
Like, and Apocalypse for me wasn't done as well as he possibly could be. No. And that's again goes along with the Oscar Isaac thing. I think there was something there that was just missing.
Yeah.
For me. What about Batman v Superman though?
I loved it. It was going to be hard for me not to enjoy a Batman movie because I'm such a fangirl for that whole franchise. Yeah. But I honestly thought it was brilliant. I honestly thought that Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor was great. I don't understand why people didn't like him. I thought he played the character so well. There
was a very good scene when he had Superman at his beck and call, courtesy of kidnapping his mum.
Yes. And
he makes Superman bow to him.
Yes.
And he just, and the line, in the way he delivered it, in the rain on top of a building, with a helicopter in the background, and he just goes, and now God bows to me.
Yeah.
And it's just like, that line sums up what Lex Luthor is.
Yes.
It sums up everything about what Jesse Eisenberg's Lex Luthor was. Yeah. He was an egomaniac. That's the whole point of his character.
I think I've never seen Lex Luthor played in that way. Yeah. Every time I've seen Lex Luthor either on TV or in movies, he's been a very cool, calm, collected businessman. Yeah. And I always think, well, why is that? Why is he so threatening if he's going to be like that? Yeah. But Jesse Eisenberg's Lex Luthor had a screw loose. He was completely psychotic.
And there was the thing that was so cleverly orchestrated about that was that when they must have written the character, and thought the only way that this could succeed is if that character is played by someone younger than our heroes. And with the heroes late 30s, 40s, it made more sense for Eisenberg to want to forge his own way in this world where other people are dictating to him the rules of whether he stays alive or not.
Yes.
You understand, it's like almost even a subconscious understanding as to why he would rise in such a way, as to why he would have such underhanded tactics in trying to like control these elements that are otherwise uncontrollable. And it's like, again, I read a report recently which I thought was very accurate. It was from the Hollywood Reporter, which discussed how Jesse Eisenberg's Lex Luthor is representative of a new billionaire. The sort of person that runs Facebook.
Yes.
Or
I was going to say
Google,
like Mark Zuckerberg kind of...
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. And obviously with him playing Mark Zuckerberg, you have that connection again consciously to say he is the new age of billionaire.
Yeah, and why should these like sort of famous characters be played by people you expect? Like, why should he be like some stuffy old businessman when he could be like this... Because Lex Luthor at his core is an entrepreneur. He'd do anything to get ahead, like whether it's in business or against Superman or to get Lois Lane or whatever the storyline is at the time.
Yeah.
Why can't it be someone new and fresh? And I think Jesse Eisenberg definitely pulled that off.
Yeah, I agree. I think my opinion on the movie is that it was actually really good. I'm a little bit disappointed because I am a huge DC fan. and a huge Batman fan in particular. And usually, a year of comic book movies for me would be overrun by my love and support for a Batman franchise. But because Civil War was so good,
I'm exactly the same.
Yeah, it's very difficult to support it in that way. I think the issues a lot of people had with Batman v Superman are understandable, but I think what Batman v Superman succeeded in, and it's the only thing that it needed to get spot on, and it did, was it made it believable that Batman could beat Superman in a fight.
I agree.
And it made it believable from the very first time they tried to have one. The very first time they connected in a fight, Batman was in charge.
Yeah.
And that's what I really liked about that one.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else to say? Best comic book movies?
I think that's pretty much it.
Yeah, we've got a few more coming this year.
Yeah.
Doctor Strange is one.
Yeah, I'm kind of excited about that.
I'm not.
Oh.
I don't care for Benedict Cumberbatch that much. I think...
Yeah, but I care for Mads Mikkelsen, like, a lot.
Yeah, true. That's
as a villain, like, how can you not be excited about that?
What? I don't... They've done the thing that they always do, which is they've released a trailer for a character that no one... that has... Like, if you only watch comic book movies,
yes.
you have no idea who Doctor Strange is.
This is true.
2, like, you don't know how he connects to anything else, and they've not explained any of that in the trailer, which I think is of detriment to the trailer. And I think that a lot of the concerns that Tumblr had, and a lot of social commentators had in general, with regard to Marvel, was that they were again casting an Asian character with white people, specifically Tilda Swinton. The thing is, with the Tilda Swinton casting, is that she's teaching him the ancient arts of, like, martial arts of China and Eastern Asia.
Yes.
And she is a white woman, so logically, in your head, you're thinking, this is odd and strange, right? Yeah. So, despite the fact that they're fictional characters who could be cast in any race, as we've seen previously with other characters being cast in different races, that in that particular case makes no sense logically, because as an audience you have a disconnect.
I do get that point. However, I think Tilda Swinton is one of those actresses who could play man, woman. She is very...
That's not the issue though, is it?
No, it's not the issue. But I think if they have chose to do this, cast a white person in this role, I think she is the best of the choices.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Like
she's someone who, she has such an ability to grab an audience that if you were to cast a film and just put some of your favourite actors in, Benedict Cumberbatch and Tilda Swinton at this moment in time would be two of them. Like
I would go and see a film because Tilda Swinton was in it.
Yeah.
So I think, as wrong as it can look and as, like, disjointed as it might feel, I think she can probably pull it off.
Yeah, but the question remains as to whether it will still do well. We've seen before this sort of negative press, especially surrounding Fantastic Four, kills some franchises. The new Fantastic Four franchise died because the director disowned it. You had the stars coming out and saying they didn't know what was going on. The studio said, we haven't edited it. Then they said that they had. And everyone was kind of letting go of ownership of it. And I know it's not quite as severe as that with Doctor Strange, but when you have such a huge amount of people saying this is not right, it can kill off a movie.
I think it's kind of up in the air about how it's going to go with Doctor Strange. I think, like, it probably won't do as well as people think it might. Yeah. I think people will go and see it for Benedict Cumberbatch because he has such a huge fan base. Regardless of what he's in, people will go and see it for him.
I think also, like, on the opposite end of the coin as to what I just presented, it's like Exodus, the Ridley Scott film. Gods and Kings.
Right.
That still made upwards of $200 million, and that was criticised worldwide.
Yeah.
For its whitewashing of Egyptian and North African cultures.
Yes.
So technically, I think with Marvel behind it as well, it will make money. I don't think that they're looking for it to make Avengers levels of money.
No.
Which will help, because if they have sequels in mind, they won't be disappointed by a $300 million gross.
Yes.
For example.
Yeah.
Whereas if it was an Avengers movie, they obviously would be.
Yes. I know this doesn't come out this year, but we also have Wonder Woman introduced.
Wonder Woman will be probably, in my opinion, the best film of this generation of DC movies.
Really?
Yeah. I'm a huge fan of Ben Affleck, and I'm a huge fan of Ben Affleck as Batman.
Yes.
And I am really excited for his version of Batman. But in the current generation that's announced, which involves Aquaman, etc., Wonder Woman will outdo even Justice League, in my opinion, as in terms of quality of movie.
I think it's a film that we've needed for a long time, and it's never come about.
Yeah, and it's like, it's been needed since the middle of the 80s.
Yes.
When that TV show was like, just finishing,
or
was
even
awesome.
like, sort of mid-90s, when you had things like Xena on TV,
yeah,
and then
which is pretty much
why didn't have a Wonder Woman then? Like Lucy Lawless could have played her.
They had a whole Catwoman movie before they had a Wonder Woman movie.
Yeah, no, it's
terrible. That makes no sense, does it?
No.
But the reason we bring up movies that are going into the future is because we want to talk about Suicide Squad. So, what are your thoughts? Are you excited?
Yes, it's going to be. There is no way I'm not going to like this movie. There is no way, because I have waited to see Harley Quinn on screen for the last 6 or 7 years, maybe.
I have one personal doubt about the movie, because I'm like you, I'm excited beyond any other comic book movie since The Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah.
That's how excited I am.
Yes.
I have one thing holding me back from being excited to the levels of The Dark Knight Rises.
Is it the certificate it's been given?
Yeah, and it's a PG-13 12A movie.
Yeah.
And nothing about the trailer and nothing about the director or the actors made me think that was going to be a 12A,
no,
PG-13.
No.
And that to me reeks of studio interference.
Yeah, definitely.
And if you have, I've said this since the minute Jared Leto was cast as the Joker. If you have Jared Leto as the Joker in an 18 X-rated certificate, or is it R-rated?
R-rated.
R-rated certificate, Jared Leto's Joker goes down in history as being important in its own right.
Yeah.
If you have him perform that role in an environment like Heath Ledger had to perform his, he's just going to be as good as Heath Ledger or not as good as Heath Ledger, and that's all people will talk about is the comparison between the two.
Yeah, I am a bit worried about that. I think people will compare the two, even though I don't think they should. They seem so different. They're completely two ends of the scale of that character.
But it's still the same character.
It is the same character.
And the certificate doesn't help. This is what I mean. If it was an 18 and Jared Leto's Joker could go so over the top it was insane, then all you'd be talking about is how good it was in a different way.
Yeah.
With regard to the 12A PG-13 certificate, Heath Ledger's Joker will, because of who directed the movie, because of who wrote the movie, will go down in history as being a better performance, and it shouldn't be compared in such a way.
No, definitely not.
And they've opened up the gates to allowing it to be compared, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Yes.
And that's one of the things that holds me back, because I agree, Harley Quinn being in the film is going to be amazing. They've got Will Smith. The director's got an entire track history of being really good.
Yeah.
Especially at character-driven films, and with so many characters, you'd want someone who can get characters right to do it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I am also excited for Suicide Squad.
Yeah. I think the trailers have helped as well. I was actually at Comic-Con last year when the trailer came out, and the hype around that first trailer was incredible. People were scrambling to see that trailer.
It went down in history because it was leaked to YouTube.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
And the leaked version of that trailer got more views in its first week than the official Batman v Superman, very first Batman v Superman trailer got.
Yeah.
And by tens of millions.
Yeah.
And I think at that point, people realised that Suicide Squad was a real contender.
I just remember after, because I knew people who had gone to the panel so they obviously had seen the trailer first, and that's all anyone was talking about.
Yeah.
People were walking around the convention centre going, "Have you seen the Suicide Squad trailer yet?" Yeah. And everyone was crowding around phones to try and watch it.
It looks like DC and Warner Brothers have just shook up their entire division.
Yes.
They've changed everyone who's in charge of the vision of the DC universe, and just put someone else in.
Yeah.
And it seems like what they're doing is they're putting a focus on the Batman end of the DC universe again.
Yeah.
So Harley Quinn's standalone movie's coming.
Yes.
With Margot Robbie. You've got, which obviously puts a focus on the Joker, who's rumoured to be the key villain, central villain in Justice League.
Yeah.
Which is now just one movie. Did you know that?
I didn't know that, no.
It was originally going to be 2 movies, then they were like, oh, it's just 1 movie. And then
Right.
Zack Snyder came out and was like, no, it's 2 movies. And then Warner Bros. Have come out and said it's 1 movie.
Right.
So what everyone's thinking is they're going to do Justice League 1 and 2, but they're just calling it just Justice League now, so people actually go see it.
Right, yes.
There's rumours that he's going to be the villain in that. Which,
I hope so.
Yeah. For me, it has to be him and Lex Luthor, or they have to again do a very good job of making me believe that the Joker can take out.
I'd love to see the Joker and Lex face off in a movie.
Yeah,
that'd be incredible.
That would be cool.
I also, another thing about what the trailers have brought for Suicide Squad is like the style of these movies looks very colourful.
Yeah,
the neon colours
neon
in like
thing, yeah.
The sort of
Blade Runner, isn't it?
Yeah, like
80s like I suppose that's why they've used 80s songs in the trailers.
Yeah.
It's very like reminiscent of that time.
Yeah. I also heard good things about the soundtrack. I know Panic at the Disco are doing a cover of Bohemian Rhapsody for the title song, which I think is pretty cool. I mean,
have you seen the song by 21 Pilots?
Oh,
They've released a song for it as well, which is really good and seems to be in line with what you'd expect. Which is what I think is just as important. I think Panic at the Disco are such an alternative sound that when they cover a song like Bohemian Rhapsody, there becomes something about it that in your head thinks that's unusual.
Yes.
And the whole point of this film is that everyone in the film is unusual.
Yes.
And it therefore reinforces the point in the movie, and that's what a good soundtrack should always do.
Yeah.
So basically, to round off this topic, we are really excited about
I think that's safe to say.
Just be wary that a 12A rating could damage both Jared Leto's Joker and the movie as a whole.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yep.
Cool. Right. We're going to go into our main topic now. It's called The Topic of the Day, and we've even got a fancy new jingle. Okay, so the topic of the day is, if you could recast the Avengers for one film, who would play each character? Who would direct the movie? Which Marvel character from the whole of Marvel lore would be the villain? And who would play that villain? What we're going to do is we're going to present our teams, our Avengers, all at once. You'll present your director, you'll present your villain, you'll present an idea for a story.
Right.
And then I'll do the same.
Okay.
And then we'll discuss.
Okay.
So you go first, cast it, go.
Okay. Well, actually, I think I need to tell my story first to
make
my cast make sense, maybe. Yeah. So basically, my story comes after Civil War.
Is it a direct follow-on from Civil War?
It's probably...
Or is it like if they didn't release any movies, but then they went back to it 10 years later?
No, it would be a direct follow-on.
Right, cool.
But as if none of the movies were coming.
Yeah. So like, it's not between Civil War and Infinity War.
No, it's just
a movie
instead
after Civil War.
Of Infinity Wars or whatever. So maybe it could be like a few years after, or a time after Civil War happens. Also,
just before you carry on, we need to clarify that by the Avengers we mean the original movie Avengers, which are Hulk, Thor, Iron Man, Captain America, Black Widow, Hawkeye, and Nick Fury.
Yes.
Nick Fury does count in this case. We're not going to try and cast Ant-Man, Bucky, those kind of people. So carry on. Yours is going to be a movie that comes out after Civil War, but isn't in with the current lineup that has Infinity War coming out later.
Yes.
Okay.
So basically, what has happened is Iron Man is still on his... I don't want to say vendetta, but he still has this idea in his head that the Avengers are a bad idea.
Yeah.
He is still at war with Captain America, but now more people are getting involved. Hulk, Thor, everyone has been getting involved with it.
It's become like more universal.
Yes.
Right.
It has also taken quite a toll on the Avengers, hence why I needed to explain this to explain my cast. Also, Nick Fury has died.
Whoa!
So...
We were discussing this before the podcast, and Becca said to me, my Nick Fury is going to be different, but I'll explain why in the podcast. And him being dead was like the last thing I expected.
So Nick Fury has died,
Right.
but they have had to replace him with someone that is in charge of trying to keep the Avengers in line.
Right.
So,
that's similar to mine.
So my idea would be he would still be called Fury would be the role he was in.
So Fury would be like his
comic
job
book
title,
name,
maybe his job title.
Yes.
Yes. As opposed to him being an actual member of the Fury family.
Yes.
Right.
He would just
so he's not related to Nick Fury.
No, he's not related to Nick Fury in any way. He is just Fury.
Right.
As in
just Fury.
That is his.
That's his gimmick.
Position.
Right.
So
he's still in charge of the Avengers, though?
He is.
Right.
Yes.
Cool.
So my film would be a lot darker than the other Avengers films.
Including Civil War?
Including Civil War.
Even darker than Civil War?
Yep.
You're going on, like, Dark Knight terms?
I am going Dark Knight terms. Dark, and that's why I have Christopher Nolan to direct it. So I think it needed...
That's a good choice.
That to go with it.
For those who can't see, as soon as she said that, I put my head down because her choice is infinitely better than mine. But mine is still good, just for later. Carry on.
Right. So the cast. So why I had to explain my cast is, I wanted a more rugged look to my cast now. Right. They're all a bit worn down because of this feud between Iron Man and Captain America. Yeah. They've probably taken sides to who they want to fight with. Things have happened in their personal lives, like I want like a bit of a strain on Hawkeye and his family because of all this, because of the situation Iron Man put him in Civil War and things like that. So I'll start with Hawkeye since I've mentioned him first, and I have Peter Skarsgård playing Hawkeye. Cool. I think he's quite a serious actor that would bring sort of other dimension to Hawkeye that's needed, especially when he's sort of his family is strained, and
he's a very talented dude.
Exactly.
And you're currently casting like what I'd dream about casting if I was doing an Avengers. Like mine's a more logical choice, but currently like yours is exactly who I'd have for both of those roles. So
I have since I talked about Fury as well, I would have Idris Elba as Fury.
Idris Elba's a good choice.
I'd also have him playing British. Like I wouldn't change it.
There's a sense of authority that comes with a British accent.
I think it's his voice as a whole is like a authoritative voice.
Yeah, it's like deep but not bellowing. Yeah. Like I get what. Yeah,
it's quite
definitely
threatening but not. Yeah. But he could be in charge. Yeah. I think. I'll go on to Iron Man, as I wanted for Iron Man someone who could talk with that kind of charisma that Robert Downey Jr. does.
Which is tough. I don't know if you found this, but like I found Iron Man to be almost impossible to recast because of how Robert Downey Jr. is Iron Man now. And I thought I did struggle with this until I thought, I'll just say it, I've got George Clooney in that role. That's cool. Because I was talking to you about it earlier. I've recently seen Money Monster, and that film is just George Clooney talking, convincing the audience that he knows what he's talking about, and I think that's what Iron Man needs. Yeah. As a character. I think also it'd be a step away from Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man with in terms of its theme of him as well. Yeah. And also with it being darker, it brings through this maturity that Robert Downey Jr., even though he's of a similar age, doesn't necessarily have. Yeah. Robert Downey Jr. is a lot more juvenile and cheeky. I think the fact that obviously George Clooney is grey as well. Yeah, it shows the toll that this thing has taken on Tony Stark. Yeah, that's really cool. As Captain America, I specifically cast him younger, but more rugged than Chris Evans. Right. So I've cast him with Scott Eastwood. Yeah. Captain America is the forever young character. Yeah. He needed to be look significantly younger, but not as I didn't want him clean cut as Chris Evans did. Also, Scott Eastwood, his dad is probably the personification for a lot of people of what America is. Yeah. In terms of the cowboy films, Clint Eastwood. America. Yeah. Yeah. The side of America that you might not like, but will always be there. A side of them that they take a pride in. Yeah. Yeah, and I feel like that's a good... Also with the tough side of America, it's like that's a darker element as well.
I also think that in this situation, Steve Rogers would have to have toughened up to sort of... He's lost maybe some of his like ideals of America and things like that. Which is again a quite modern way of thinking about it, because the whole point in his character is that he's very old-fashioned in his ideals regarding America, and if he's evolved to... If he's lived in the current world for long enough, he may no longer see it like that, because of the way the world no longer sees America to be quite as idealistic as it once did. That's quite cool, I like that. Black Widow was the hardest one to cast. I needed a strong female that was also of the right age, so I've put Angelina Jolie in there.
That's
just she's credible, I think, and can pull off the fight scenes, and people respect her and things like that.
She's also a little bit more mature like the rest.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah. For Thor, I've got Alexander Skarsgård of True Blood fame, soon to be Tarzan fame.
It's getting quite good reviews, that movie, so I'm assuming it's done alright.
I mean, he's good at what he does. Yeah. He's got the look. He's like...
The look is the key for him.
For Thor,
Yeah, I think Thor, like... I think Chris Hemsworth plays him brilliantly because he gets the timing of the comic bits.
Yes.
But I feel like, especially if you're going to go more serious, it is more about the looks and the ability to pull off, like, the accent. I also think he's Swedish descent, right? That lends itself...
Scandinavian descent, I don't know if it's actually Swedish. But I think with him as well, he may not have the same comedic value as Chris Hemsworth does, but he's very quick-witted from what I've seen of him in True Blood. He's also got quite a threatening side to his performances that sort of... Yeah, he's like this, like, god, and he looks great, and like he's quite quick-witted and things, but you'd still be wary of him. Yeah, which I think is something that Chris Hemsworth Thor's not necessarily got in his locker. I don't feel like he's that threatening in terms of him as a person. Yeah. So for Hulk, I have Michael Shannon to play Hulk. Oh, that's cool. I just... Proper character actors in this one. I like it. Yeah, I just think that Michael Shannon, like, especially with Hulk is a character who is beaten down anyway. He beats himself up. Yeah. So Michael Shannon brings his face looks worn, I think, sometimes. Like, he looks like he's been through a lot. Yeah, he carries a lot with him, doesn't he? And I think he could bring a very serious factor to the Hulk character, to Bruce Banner. Yeah. So, through all this, my point in the story is that Captain America needs to find Iron Man, a worthy opponent for Iron Man. I would also have Thor on Iron Man's side rather than Captain America's. And Steve has to find someone to help him out, basically. So that's where my villain comes in, but not as a villain at first, as an ally. Yeah. So it would be Magneto. And I would still have Fassbender play him, because I couldn't think of anyone better. Nice. So the amount of damage he will do to Tony Stark. Yeah. So I originally have him coming in as an ally to Captain America. Yeah. To help him not fight Iron Man, but Captain America is now out of options. Yeah, he has to find the person to sort of stop Iron Man at what he's doing. Yeah. But then, obviously, Magneto being Magneto, he's all up for himself. Yeah, he has his own agenda. Yeah, has his own agenda. Maybe that's how it brings the Avengers back together. I don't know. Yeah, and that's cool as well, because what you could, if it brought the Avengers back together, you could have Avengers v X-Men. Yep. You could also have it where, even if it didn't bring the Avengers back together, you could introduce other X-Men characters as part of each side, with Magneto kind of around. You could even have like a cameo of another X-Men character help overcome Magneto. Yeah, I mean, you could have it like Tony bringing Xavier, or like the reasonable thinker, the way Tony thinks he is, and things like that. Yeah. And like, imagine the dialogue between those two, that'd be cool. Yeah. That is definitely a very cool movie. Thanks. My movie's like gonna seem so cheesy in comparison. And this is ironic because me and Becca always joke about how my movie taste is really pretentious, and I always think so highly of myself with regard to what I think is good and bad in movies, and she's gone the pretentious route. And I'm stuck with this. Basically, for my movie, which is a standalone Avengers movie and won't lead into anything else because I'm sick of everything leading into everything else,
as cool as yours sounds, which does sound much cooler than every other one.
Thanks.
My Avengers movie will be directed by the one and only Steven Spielberg.
Of course.
He's got like a track history of directing. He's directed like 30 films, and like 12 of them have been world-class blockbusters.
At least you know with a Spielberg film you're gonna get a good one.
Yeah, he's going to be able to put. He's going to be able to put characters across while also being able to produce realistic-looking effects, and everything about him just lends itself to
He
a
does
superhero
serious
movie.
as well as he does action.
Yeah,
as well.
exactly. So like for me, he was an obvious choice, and like I said, I did prefer Christopher Nolan after you said it. I just didn't think of him. But Spielberg is my guy. My Avengers, like yours, are a bit more mature.
Right.
I didn't really have a time frame for it, but say it's in the aftermath of Civil War.
Right.
Fury is gone. There is a new authoritative
So similar to
figure.
mine then.
Yeah, very similar to yours. There is a reason for it. We'll see in a minute. The Avengers themselves are still united, and this was key because I thought about a few different villains, and I've settled on, as my villain, Captain Marvel.
Ooh.
And she would be played by Charlize Theron.
Wow. That's pretty cool.
And I'm like, you get a badass woman, and you put a badass woman in that role,
yeah.
and your badass woman with magical powers is gonna kill whoever the fuck she wants.
Yeah.
Like, that's basically the gimmick of the movie.
Yeah.
She is of course a superhero in her
Yeah.
own right.
Yeah.
There will of course be superhero movies with regard to Captain Marvel.
Yes.
But in my specific movie,
Mm-hmm.
for whatever reason, she's not the good guy.
Right.
That reason would be much like Civil War in that they have such a differing of opinions with regard to something very specific.
Right.
That the only thing's that. But instead of like Civil War, there'll be no punches pulled because the Avengers as this team, without Vision and
Right.
all the other people with all the powers, would have a hard time dealing with Captain Marvel. Basically,
Yes.
she would be overpowering in a lot of the ways that you could be.
Yeah.
So Charlize Theron is going to be pretty much the lead of the movie
I love
because
Charlize Theron.
yeah, like she's the villain, and I feel like what Nolan did so well in the Batman trilogy is he focused everything on the villains and then had Batman overcome them in order to advance Batman's character.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So the same gimmick here, right?
Yeah.
There's no follow-ons; it's just standalone. My cast is. I'll start with Iron Man.
Right.
My Iron Man is Will Smith.
That's cool.
I was like, Fresh Prince Will Smith, Independence Day, Men in Black, Fresh Prince Will Smith is
right.
perfect
Yeah.
as Tony Stark. So I was like, that'll do. I also feel like you could put it in like a new age type way. He owns all the same stuff, but he's a bit cooler. Because I feel like Robert Downey Jr.'s one is cool, but it's like nerdy cool.
Yeah.
If you have Will Smith, it's like cool.
He's just cool.
Yeah, like, and I feel like that works. I also feel like it opens up some possibilities with regard to the rest of the cast, which is interesting.
Right.
I'll try and do it in order from like most important to least important, which
Okay.
will obviously be terrifying to some people who are fans of Marvel, but I'm going to put some people at the bottom of the list. But my Captain America would be none other than John Cena.
What?
WWE superstar John Cena will be Captain America.
Okay.
No, think about it.
I am.
He's been the lead role in a number of B-type movies.
Yeah.
He's done cameos alongside some very good people.
Okay.
He's muscle bound, which I think Captain America needs to be.
I see it.
Yeah,
I see the look of him.
He's very he personifies America in the WWE.
Yeah.
He's very loyal to the troops. He has a lot of American ideals.
Yeah.
He, for me, in this movie, which he will obviously not be leading because Charlize Theron will,
Right.
and then Will Smith will obviously lead for the Avengers,
Okay.
would be a very useful addition.
I mean, I'm a huge John Cena fan.
You don't agree at all, do you?
But I just don't see it. Sorry. I mean, I've seen The Marine. It's not good.
No, it's really not good. I think, carried by Spielberg, though. Spielberg's taken some people who haven't been experienced at acting and made them very, very good.
I mean, it's a good job you've got Spielberg directing, I think.
Beyond him, I have, as Thor, Cillian Murphy.
Oh, I was going to have him as my Hulk, but then decided against it.
Well, speaking of Hulk, I have David Oyelowo from Selma.
Yes. Yeah.
Excellent actor.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I thought, like, he's quite little in terms of his stature. He's about 5'7".
Yeah.
Is of an age where it's around Will Smith, so he's kind of like got that. They could do that back and forth that they have, where they kind of look after each other.
Yeah.
I think with him in the role as well, he's another one that just brings a sort of gravitas where you feel it.
Yeah.
He has a look behind his eyes where you just feel like he's been through stuff.
Yeah.
Which is what made him so good.
Yeah.
As Martin Luther King. My Hawkeye would be Matt Damon.
Really?
Just because I love Matt Damon.
Okay.
That is the only reason
Really?
why. Honestly, the
Isn't he
only
a bit-
reason why.
Isn't he a bit stocky for Hawkeye? Like, I don't think he would...
Why does Hawkeye need to be thin?
Well,
Jeremy
he's gotta
Renner
be-
tried to be muscly for it.
Yeah, but Jeremy Renner's quite small. Like, he's quite what an archer would be. He's got to be quite quick, light on his feet.
Matt Damon can be anything.
I don't think Matt Damon could be light on his feet, but okay.
My Black Widow would be played by Rooney Mara.
Oh, that's
who's,
cool.
Like, she's Oscar-nominated
Yes.
actress, like, twice over, I think, already. She's, like, 30.
Yeah. Why
She's-
didn't I think of her?
She's got the look. She's got a very, like, Eastern European look.
Yeah,
Hair and everything, so I thought she'd be perfect
definitely.
for the role. And then leading them all into battle would be a new authoritative figure with a bit of an agenda,
Right.
right? So, like, the authoritative figure wouldn't be all good, like Nick Fury.
Right, okay.
Because Nick Fury is purely good, right?
Yes.
This guy would have an alternative agenda which could lend itself to the villainous sides of the film
Right.
subtly.
Okay.
And that villain would be played by a revived and a renewed and a much less racist Mel Gibson.
Mel Gibson.
Yes.
Wow.
Mel Gibson's a guy that through the 90s proved that he has a performance inside him that is absolutely moving.
Yes.
He's also such a talented filmmaker that he'd bite anyone's hand off at the chance of working with Spielberg, and he'd perform his absolute best under that.
I do agree.
Like Mickey Rourke, he's been through a situation where he hasn't been liked.
Mm.
And no, he hasn't done enough to apologise for it, so he'd obviously have to do that in the promotion for this film.
Yes.
But he's been through enough now that I could see him at least leading in like I say, not necessarily a positive and nice manner.
Yeah.
A group of Avengers in a battle with another hero, remember? So
Yeah.
he does change the balance of the movie. You don't know what's going on for the good, or for the bad of the people of Earth when this movie happens. And I feel like Mel Gibson personifies that as a person, and as an actor can carry it because we've seen in Braveheart and things like that he's
Yeah.
really talented.
Yeah.
a very
You can't.
talented
Yeah,
dude.
you can't deny that. I guess.
So basically, just to recap on my team, it is Will Smith as Iron Man, John Cena as Captain America, Rooney Mara as Black Widow, Cillian Murphy as Thor, Matt Damon as Hawkeye, David Oyelowo as Hulk, Mel Gibson as Nick Fury, and Charlize Theron as Captain Marvel in the villainous role for the movie directed by Steven Spielberg.
Mhm.
Basically, you did better than me.
Yes.
My
I feel I did too.
My Captain America was like a shot out of left field because I just knew for a fact you would never think of doing it.
No, to be fair, the thought of casting a wrestler did cross my mind for not Captain America, but maybe for Hulk. But yeah, I didn't think you'd actually put him in.
Was that wrestler The Rock?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. The Rock was my alternative for Iron Man.
Really? That'd be
And
quite
then
cool, actually. I would
The
have seen
reason,
that.
yeah, the reason he wasn't is because he's too muscly.
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
he has the quick. He is like he can react to stuff. He's
Yeah.
very quick witted. The Rock is really good at insults as well, and I
Yeah.
feel like Iron Man's quite a lot about his quick
Yeah.
wit and his intelligence, and I feel The Rock portrays at least the wit part. He definitely is an intelligent dude as well. He would portray that really well. But Will Smith's my guy because Will Smith's my guy. Like he's just
Yeah, everyone loves a Will Smith movie.
yeah, and
So.
and if you've got to think about someone around that age, he's definitely the one.
Yeah.
In my opinion, that I'd go with. Who did you go with for that one?
For Iron Man.
Yeah.
George Clooney.
Yeah, like George Clooney offers different things to Will Smith.
Yes.
Like George Clooney definitely goes with your story.
Yeah.
Definitely like advances all of the elements and themes that you've been discussing. And
Yeah.
honestly, I'd rather see your movie. I think my movie would be great in like an Indiana Jones 4 way.
Yeah.
Where it's like, no one actually thinks it's that great, but it's kind of good because it's not.
Yeah.
Like, and I know that we all expect more of the Avengers, but like, I had fun casting it.
For my movie, I really just wanted to see a Dark Knight Avengers movie.
Yeah, which, like, I am the biggest fan ever of Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy, and when you said Nolan and then cast those people, all I could think of was like physical effects in an IMAX camera with an amazing cast, and it's like,
I just want,
jeez,
I want Avengers set in Gotham City. That's what I want so much.
It is kind of controversial. Some of the casting's definitely controversial. John Cena wouldn't get any support from the comic book community. I'm pretty sure that Mel Gibson would be set on fire if he was to take the authority role in the Avengers. But I think, Captain Marvel, Charlize Theron is, for me, the perfect morally ambiguous villain.
Yeah.
They're the sort of villain where they're not necessarily a villain, but they are the villain in that particular story.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're
not ultimately a bad person, they're just bad then.
Yeah.
Like Magneto.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Yeah, yes. Magneto was my obvious choice.
Yeah.
I think I love seeing Fassbender in that role. I love his character in any form. I love Magneto's character regardless who's playing it. I love Ian McKellen playing him as well.
True.
So I'd see him in every movie.
I personally prefer Ian McKellen.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I think they're on par for me. I don't...
I think the reason why I do is just because I prefer how he's written. As I discussed earlier with regard to Apocalypse. But I do think Fassbender, if anyone's as good as Ian McKellen at acting, it's Fassbender.
Yes,
like,
definitely.
They're both different levels in terms of superhero films.
Yeah. I think I also am a fan of... I wouldn't necessarily call Idris Elba up and coming, but I think he is in the bigger movie world.
Yeah, he's like a guy who's got a franchise waiting for him somewhere.
Yeah,
right?
Definitely. I always get excited to see his name on a cast list.
Yeah.
Same with, I have taken a real love to Scott Eastwood recently. Yeah. Like, I haven't seen him in much, but everything I have seen him in, I think that this is a guy who can go far. Yeah,
he's got like a charisma about him.
Definitely.
What with regard to Idris Elba as Fury, would Fury have superpowers, or would it be similar to Nick Fury?
No, he would be completely a human. Like, he wouldn't have any powers.
Yeah, so he'd be like almost like a businessman version.
He's been hired by S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah, like he's the S.H.I.E.L.D. That's what I meant. Yeah, he's worked his way up, kind of thing.
Yeah, okay. He is just like the new S.H.I.E.L.D. member that is in control of...
Would you not have Nick Fury in at all? Like, you wouldn't have Magneto kill him off?
No, I think I would have... That, but maybe for another movie. Right. Like, I wouldn't... Like, maybe there could be a movie in between Civil War and this one where that happens, or is like a... I know, I actually hate this cop-out of films where they just go, and 3 years later, this happens. Yeah. And it all starts at Nick Fury's funeral or something like that. Yeah. But maybe that could happen. I don't know. I think it needed to be fresh. Yeah. So I think having a character suddenly not there anymore makes it that.
Yeah. I think one of the freshness thing is something like, I've cast a lot of people that are in a lot of films. Yeah. By a director that's made a lot of films, which isn't fresh in any sense of the word. Yeah. The fresh aspect did cross my mind though, hence why I cast Captain Marvel as a villain, because we haven't seen Magneto in a Marvel movie, but we have seen Magneto in movies, 5 of them now. With regard to Captain Marvel, we've not seen her at all. Yes. And Charlize Theron brings, by herself, so much to a movie. Yeah. Never mind while playing such an important character. Yeah. So I think that was my element of freshness.
My reason behind picking a villain who's already established is in an Avengers movie, in a follow-on. Like, I know yours is a standalone movie, where mine is a follow-on in the series to Civil War. It needed a villain that people recognised and could already be fearful of. Yeah. I don't think he needed to be established before he even stepped into this arena.
That's true.
So I couldn't have anyone new.
True. For me, I've got my idea of my story as I've presented, but like Spielberg could go where he wanted.
Oh yeah.
Like if I was producing that film, I'd just be like, all right, Spielberg, you do what you want, because he's a guy, he knows, you know.
Yeah.
Like for me, Christopher Nolan's got the edge because I love him so much, and also because with regard to your type of story, it works.
Yeah.
With mine, I've got like John Cena's Captain America. It's gonna be
Christopher Nolan cannot direct that.
yeah, it's gonna be like a cheesy but good film, hopefully.
Yeah.
I mean, like, some of the actors are really respected. Rooney Mara, Cillian Murphy, Matt Damon.
Oh, definitely.
Charlize Theron, David Oyelowo. They're character actors.
John Cena was kind of lost in that cast, I think.
Yeah, but like I said, Captain America doesn't necessarily have to do much other than fight, right?
No. I mean, you could even have him as, like... He didn't have to be in the movie that much. You could have him as, like, a...
I wanted him in the movie, though.
Oh, okay.
I think, you know, John Cena, if anyone who listens to this podcast watches anything with John Cena in, he's got a very typically American voice.
Yes, he has.
He's got a very good tone, and it's like everything about him is America, the square jaw, everything.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And it's like, he personifies it, and it's if he's in a conversation with Iron Man, or Hulk, or Mel Gibson's character, and they just disagree,
yeah,
he's gonna come across as that, like, no, this is America, like, he will come across... He's like that in the way he presents his interviews on WWE TV.
Yeah.
He's like that in real life, it seems.
Yeah,
to me,
true.
He's a very straightforward, straight-laced guy.
Yeah.
And that is what Captain America is.
Yes.
To me.
Yeah.
Like, if you made him that straight-laced guy, it'd almost make him more funny as well.
Yeah.
Which could work. Especially with Thor being played by Cillian Murphy, who's obviously a dramatic actor. But, like, honestly, I think I'd rather see yours. I love my cast, but yours is better.
Yeah, I'd rather see mine too. No offence.
That's fair enough, let's be honest. Right, and that's the end of our topic. We had our fancy music, I hope everyone likes that. I just want to remind people before we carry on that you can buy the Film Magazine merchandise on Redbubble. Just search for the Film Magazine on Redbubble. We have all our stuff on there. It's really popular. So if you get any of our merchandise as well, please tag us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Research the hashtags. We'll we'll retweet or share whatever you post about us. Also, it's just really cool for us because we get to see people wearing our stuff, man. That's like the coolest thing ever, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. You can buy t-shirts, stickers, hoodies, jumpers, pencil cases, notebooks, bags, pillows, skirts, like graphic dresses now.
Yeah, I think so.
You can buy everything.
Scarves. I think we're doing scarves now.
Redbubble's the greatest, and thanks to them for providing you with our stuff. They're awesome. Just go ahead, go on there. Make sure you at least check out our stuff because we appreciate everyone having a look. Now we're going to go into the quickfire questions round.
Right.
And hopefully there'll be a bit of a jingle to play here too. Right, so we're back for the quick questions round. Number 1 is, what is your favourite DC movie that isn't Batman?
Oh, not Batman.
Yeah. Batman's too easy. It's like you say what's your favourite DC movie and everyone just goes, The Dark Knight or
yeah, true.
Batman, Tim Burton's Batman.
Yeah.
There's never
really
Superman,
any other answer.
Or, you know,
Yeah,
like
true.
Superman 1 was so good and no one ever says that.
Yeah, because it's not as good as Batman.
That's true.
Mine would probably be The Losers. And I don't know if anyone has actually seen this movie, but if you haven't, you should. It's incredible. It's an incredible movie.
It's Chris Evans, right?
Chris Evans is one of them. It's an ensemble cast.
Jeffrey Dean Morgan?
Led by Jeffrey Dean Morgan, who is one of my favourite actors of all time.
There is Aurora from Guardians of the Galaxy. Zoe Saldana?
Yes, Zoe Saldana's in it. I can't really remember who else. Anyway, beside the point, it's an incredible movie. It's so fun. It's like funny. It's action based.
Yeah, and it's a good alternative to what the other movies are. Yeah. I feel like it's a DC movie, but not like a dark DC movie.
It's not a superhero movie.
Yeah.
They do not have powers. They are just regular guys.
There is a really funny bit though where Chris Evans' character seems like he has powers. That's good. I like that movie. I think that's a good choice.
Yeah.
My choice is V for Vendetta.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say that.
Well, it was V for Vendetta or Watchmen, and I
Yeah.
really love Watchmen to the point where like I wrote part of my dissertation on that movie. Like that,
Yeah.
I love that movie. It has so many intricacies. But if I'm thinking about a film that affected me emotionally, V for Vendetta's the one.
Yes.
I watch that film now and I think revolution time. You know.
Yeah.
Like, as cheesy as it sounds. So like V for Vendetta is my choice.
Cool.
The second question is, what is your favourite comic book movie character portrayal? Marvel or DC, by the way.
Okay. Right, I'm going to say two. Because my obvious choice is Heath Ledger's Joker.
Which is my choice.
Like,
By far the best performance I've ever seen in a comic book movie.
Well, obviously.
Also the only Oscar-nominated one.
Yeah. So
Oscar-winning one.
Yes. I have to say that one. But I also love Loki as a character.
Tom Hiddleston's Loki.
Yeah. I just feel that I look forward to seeing him as a character in a film.
Yeah.
There's so many. I love Tom Hardy's Bane. I love.
Yeah.
It's mainly the villains I love the most.
Yeah, but we were saying earlier, like Robert Downey Jr. is Iron Man. Like,
Well, yes.
So that's obviously a world-class portrayal.
Yeah.
I think Chris Hemsworth got it knocked it on the head with regards to the comedy aspects of Thor.
Definitely.
But
I mean,
Mark Ruffalo's Hulk is impressive in his little role.
Could you imagine
role.
anyone else as Wolverine? I mean, I couldn't.
Yeah, like that's the thing. Like for me, Wolverine, Hugh Jackman and Wolverine. It's Hugh Jackman and Wolverine
are the same thing.
Yeah, just like Robert Downey Jr. and Tony Stark / Iron Man are the same thing. But Heath Ledger's Joker was just one of those one-off, once-in-a-lifetime moments that you just can never get again. You can't produce that. It just comes out. Like, it's a dream come true to have a performance like that. And for such a, good character as well. It was a perfect performance.
I mean, Joker's my favourite character of, well, maybe not more than Harley, but of comic book lore, maybe.
Yeah. Number 3 on our quickfire questions round is, which comic book movie disappointed you the most?
Watchmen.
Watchmen?
Definitely Watchmen. I went into that movie so hyped. Like, I was desperate to see that film, and I came out with no words to how much I didn't like it.
Is it because it was long?
There was something, I don't know what it was. I am not the greatest fan of Zack Snyder at all. I really don't get it with him. 2, I did think it was long. There was a point in the film where I thought it finished and got up to leave and there was another hour to go.
Yeah.
I don't know, it just disconnected for me. I couldn't get away with it and I wanted to love it so much and I just didn't.
Yeah, fair enough. Unlike you though, I do really love Zack Snyder films. And I say love Zack Snyder films, I think they're much better than anyone ever gives him credit for. I think 300 was really good. I thought Sucker Punch was better than people thought.
I do love Sucker Punch, actually.
I loved Watchmen endlessly. But the film that disappointed me the most was Man of Steel. I am a fan of Superman. I am a fan of Zack Snyder. I am a fan of DC Comics and Warner Brothers. And they put them all into one big mesh and made a really boring, overly long film that made barely any sense.
I liked Man of Steel.
It was just so much smashing and not enough anything else.
I mean, I didn't think it was great.
The only good parts were Russell Crowe walking around like Russell Crowe.
Yeah.
That is literally it. And I think I'm the only person who even liked that bit.
I did actually like Man of Steel. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, it wasn't the greatest film ever, but I didn't hate it. I thought it was fine. Enjoyed watching it at the time.
Right, we'll just move on to number 4. Which movie surprised you the most?
I would say Ant-Man. I went into Ant-Man thinking, well, for one, I couldn't get anyone to come and see it with me. No one wanted to see that film. And I went into it thinking, oh God, Paul Rudd as a superhero.
Yes.
That is going to be terrible. And I went in on my own to see it at the cinema and absolutely loved it.
was much better than I was ever expecting.
It completely hit me from left field, really.
It was focused, it was funny, it was well acted.
Yeah.
Everything about it was
and
really
I loved everything about it.
Yeah. Mine was gonna be Ant-Man because again, like I was surprised by that. I didn't even go to see it at the cinema. I waited until it came out so I could just watch it at home. So I was like, I'm not paying that money to go see it in the cinema. But my actual leader is for the movie that surprised me the most was Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh, I love Guardians. I love that so much.
It's one of the films. It was a Marvel film, so it was like I was with a friend and I said, "Oh, we'll go to the cinema," and that was on. It was like, "All right, that's on. Yeah, let's go see that." And then watched it. It was like, "Where did this come from?" The director had a track history of making good films, right? You've got Chris Pratt, who kind of came out of nowhere as a star that year.
Yes.
And he'd been good in Parks and Recreation, but no one saw that out of him.
No, definitely not.
The rest of the cast was insane, and it was just absolutely brilliant movie.
I think I went into it with a different opinion to you. I was excited to see that movie before I went to see it. I mean, I knew the track record James Gunn had.
Yeah.
I also... The cast was great. Actually, the person that surprised me the most, and that was Batista. Like, I loved his character.
Yeah. Dave Batista used to be a WWE wrestler, right? And he goes into Guardians of the Galaxy and pulls out a performance that's just unbelievable.
Funny. He was funny.
It was so good, and it's got him roles in countless films.
Oh,
now.
Of course.
He was in James Bond.
I know.
Like, how many people can say that? That's insane.
Yeah, I went into that film like knowing it would be decent. I mean, I knew that Michael Rooker was also going to be in it, and
very good.
For seeing, like, just even knowing him from, like, The Walking Dead, that made me excited for this film.
Yeah, like, with him, the case with me is that I've known him from, like, secondary, like, almost B-movie action movies, and he's always been really good in those. And I was like, okay, this is interesting that he's in, like, such a big movie. But that's the thing with Guardians for me. Yeah. It was a big movie that felt like it was very personal and nice and intimate.
Oh,
it felt like they as a team... Yeah. Were like the underdog, and I feel like that's just something else that you attach yourself to as a viewer. You go, oh, that's really cool, you know.
I think the casting was very good, was clever with that. It was people that people recognised. Like, I knew Karen Gillan obviously from Doctor Who, and I knew.
Saying that though, she wasn't that good.
No, she wasn't. But it was nice to see her in such a big role, and the guy. The guy from Pushing Daisies, I can't remember his name.
Neither can I, but he was the villain.
Yeah, and to see him in such a big film as well was nice to see these people I recognised. Yeah,
which again made it feel more like family, like independent almost. Yeah. Like, which I thought, like I say, it helped. But I if you were surprised by it, I'm not surprised that it wasn't your choice. Yeah. But it was my choice because, like I say, I had no idea that was coming. Yeah. That was just really good. Question number 5 is, what's your favourite Marvel movie that isn't made by Marvel Studios? So, you know, it can't be the Iron Man movies, the Avengers movies, any of that.
Yeah. I am a big fan of the X-Men movies, but I'd probably go with First Class with mine. I mean, I love the first generation X-Men movies. Like, X-Men 2 is probably great in that sense, but First Class just did something else for me.
Yeah, it was. That's how a reboot should be done.
Yes.
The director, world class. You know, the cast was cast with character actors. Yeah. Like proper actors. As the originals were. Yeah. And that's
obviously, I'm a huge Michael Fassbender fan, but I am also a huge James McAvoy fan. Yeah.
Beyond that as well, like Jennifer Lawrence.
Yeah.
Like, she's another one. It's like she was cast in a role then, and like at the time, I don't think anyone knew who she'd quite knew who she'd become. Yeah. But like, she's still a talented woman, you know, and she was cast in a role.
Even people like seeing Nicholas Hoult and sort of
another guy who's like talented in that regard. Yeah. Definitely. I agree.
You know,
that was a good choice.
Like Kevin Bacon as the villain. Who can't love that?
That was kind of out of nowhere as well, because at the time he hadn't been around that much.
No, not for a while, at least.
My favourite Marvel movie not made by Marvel Studios, I was originally going to say Spider-Man 2, and then that kind of was made by Marvel Studios, but when they were kind of in conjunction with Fox or Sony, or whoever owns that, I think it's Sony. Yeah. So I've gone with X2, which is the second X-Men movie, because in that movie, Magneto's kind of a good guy.
Yes.
And he's kind of fighting for the mutants, and there's their force team differently.
Yeah.
And Wolverine is kind of enticed by him. There's all this stuff where you're like, whoa, you know? Like, all this stuff happens. They've got that unbelievable scene with Nightcrawler.
Oh, yes. I
Night-
love Nightcrawler in that movie.
Like, the scene in the Oval Office.
Yes,
like,
yes.
That's one of the best scenes I've ever seen in a movie.
Alan Cummings is incredible as Nightcrawler.
Exactly. I feel like it did away with some of the stuff that didn't that didn't work in the first one. So Halle Berry's terrible Storm accent was no longer there.
Yes. Yes.
I think it just did a really good job overall. I thought it was a really good movie. I think that what's so good about the original trilogy is that they ask questions about the morality of superheroes.
Yeah.
The morality of being a mutant, and that's what X-Men is to me now.
Yeah.
Which is why I wasn't so convinced about Apocalypse.
Yeah.
I'm not convinced enough because they don't talk enough about the reality of those situations. So yeah, X-Men 2's mine, and yours was First Class.
Yeah.
The final question is very simple, one-word answer. Are you a Marvel or DC movies person?
Well, no, this isn't... I am a DC movies person, Batman movies person.
Right.
But, against that, I would say Marvel have a better collection of movies under their belt, so I'd probably say Marvel over DC.
Marvel are more consistent. You could put your finger on like 2 Marvel films of all time that aren't that good.
Yeah.
They release film after film that's good, if not great. You know?
Yeah. There are very few Marvel films I don't like,
yeah.
whereas like there are quite a few DC movies I don't like. But I'm a Batman fan overall, so... Yeah.
I'm a DC movies person, without a doubt, because I like that they have more standalones, I like that they're more adult-themed, I like that they're darker, I like that they generally, not including like Green Lantern, choose filmmakers to make the movies. The Wachowskis made V for Vendetta, and I know it was done by a different director.
Yeah.
But they made V for Vendetta. You had Nolan make The Dark Knight. You had Snyder make Watchmen. These are people who know their vision, and they put their vision into visual form.
Yeah.
In the same way that an artist, like an illustrator, will do for a comic book.
Yeah.
And I like that. I think it's really good. So DC movies for me, because I'm a huge fan of Watchmen, V for Vendetta, and the Dark Knight trilogy, and for me, nothing that Marvel have done can come close to those.
I agree with that, but I feel that DC have fallen down too many times for my liking. Like, I personally don't like Watchmen, so maybe that's why. And I Green Lantern, Green Hornet, like, even, like, when you say, like, I did like Man of Steel, but every single Marvel movie comes before that, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So, I think if I was to, like, sort of say my personal top 10 comic movies of all time...
There'd be more Marvel in it.
There'd be the Batman movies, but then all Marvel movies.
Yeah. We have come to the end of our quick questions round, and it's interesting because the last comment Becca made about her top 10 being the Dark Knight trilogy, the Batman movies, and then Marvel movies for the top 10. It's funny because, obviously, with Becca being in charge of the 30 top comic book movies of all time, we had quite a serious debate with regard to the order of some of them.
Yes, we did. We had quite a disagreement to the order of them.
I won't spoil anything because you can all check it out when it comes out, but like...
So don't blame me if it's not what you like, because that wasn't all my decision.
Yeah. Or do blame her if you have a specific liking for Spider-Man 2.
Hey, I'm not saying anything.
So, yeah, if you like this podcast and you like comic book movies, as I assume you do if you're listening, we have 30-day countdown. 13, the comic book countdown, was The Crow, just to whet your appetite a little bit. You can find the countdown every single day on thefilmmagazine.tumblr.com. That's the film magazine with 2 M's. Or you can just search for the film magazine on Tumblr and we'll come up.
I mean, the final list will be going out at the end of July on thefilmmagazine.com, and there will be a YouTube video to go with it, naming the final 30.
Yeah, which, if you haven't seen any of our YouTube content, do. We have a weekly news roundup, which is all of the week's top news stories in movies, from casting to actors passing away to movies not being made anymore, and that's all in a neat little 66-second video for you. We also have the first entry into our 30-day countdowns videos, which was the 30 greatest musical numbers from musical movies, which was absolutely great video done by Becca herself, which has, you know, that's one of those videos you watch it and you go, oh, this song, you know? Like, I watched it with my mum, and she was like, oh, that song reminds me of being a child, you know? And it's like, that's what, I love that video. It's a really good video. Check it out.
A lot of entries in that I've forgot about, and it was really fun to make.
Again, to get us on there, you can just search for the Film Magazine, or if you want to watch that musical one in particular, you can search for 30 greatest musical numbers.
Yeah.
And that'll come up. Please subscribe, do all that kind of thing. I am JoeTFM on Twitter. That's JoeTFM on Twitter. Becca is
Becca TFM,
which is Becca_TFM on Twitter. You can contact us directly. Also, if you have any questions for another episode of the podcast, just tweet us, message us, leave comments on this video. Wherever you find us, leave comments, and we'll make sure to answer the questions next time. You can also comment on Facebook. We're the Film Magazine on Facebook, the Film Magazine on Twitter, Tumblr, YouTube, Instagram, Pinterest.
Yeah, Pinterest.
Everything. We've gotten everything.
Yes.
But you can find all of it and every bit of our content on thefilmmagazine.com. At the minute, we've got a lot of great content regarding some of the newer releases. We're going a bit more in depth on some stuff as well. Basically, just get in touch.
Yep.
Give us a read, and we'll see you around. So, bye.
Bye.